The morning sun stretched across the streets of Boston, painting the sidewalks in warm golden light. People hurried toward offices with coffee cups in their hands. Delivery trucks stopped outside busy stores. The city looked ordinary. But before the day ended, one simple act of courage would change two lives forever. Ethan Carter tightened the straps of his old backpack before helping his 8-year-old daughter out of their small sedan. "Ready for school, Lily?" She smiled brightly. Always. Despite wearing a neatly washed uniform, Lily's backpack had been repaired several times with careful stitching. She never complained. She simply hugged her father. "You'll have a good day too, Dad." Ethan smiled. "I'll try." Ever since his wife passed away 5 years earlier, Ethan had raised Lily alone. Every morning followed the same routine. Breakfast together, school drop-off, construction work until late afternoon, homework, dinner, bedtime stories. It wasn't an easy life, but it was theirs. Ethan worked for a local renovation company. His hands were rough. His jeans were faded. His boots carried years of hard work. Yet everyone who knew him agreed on one thing. He never treated anyone differently because of money. His late wife had always repeated one sentence: "Character is revealed when no one is watching." Those words stayed with him every single day. After dropping Lily at school, Ethan drove toward today's construction site. Halfway there, his foreman called. Schedule changed. Ethan frowned. "What happened?" "Material delivery is delayed." "So, everyone gets the day off." An unexpected free day. That almost never happened. Instead of wasting it, Ethan decided to finish several errands around downtown. By noon, he became hungry. Across the street stood a family restaurant called Maple Corner Grill. It wasn't luxurious, just comfortable. Wooden tables, friendly atmosphere, fresh food, exactly the kind of place Ethan liked. Inside, lunchtime crowds filled nearly every table. Office workers laughed together. Retired couples enjoyed coffee. College students discussed assignments. Servers moved quickly between tables. A young waitress greeted him. "Table for one?" "Yes, thank you." Her name tag read, Emma Brooks. She wore a simple uniform with a polite smile. Nothing about her stood out except one thing. She treated every customer with genuine respect. Ethan noticed something unusual. Unlike several exhausted servers rushing through orders, Emma looked directly at every guest while speaking. She listened carefully. She thanked everyone sincerely. Even difficult customers received kindness. She handed Ethan a menu. "Our homemade chicken pie is today's favorite." "I'll take that." "An iced tea." "Perfect." While waiting, Ethan quietly watched the restaurant. Years of construction work had taught him something important. Observing people revealed more than words ever could. One elderly customer accidentally dropped a spoon. Before anyone asked, Emma picked it up and replaced it with a clean one. She smiled warmly. "No worries." Moments later, a little boy spilled orange juice. Instead of becoming annoyed, Emma knelt beside him. "It happens." She helped clean the table while making the embarrassed child laugh. Ethan couldn't help smiling. Kindness like that was becoming rare. Unknown to everyone inside the restaurant, Emma wasn't an ordinary waitress. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't hiding. She was spending several weeks personally working across different branches of her own hospitality company to understand how customers and employees truly experienced the business. No executives accompanied her. No announcements had been made. Only the board of directors knew about the leadership program. To everyone else, she was simply another employee. Emma believed numbers never told the whole story. Reports could be manipulated. Statistics could look perfect. Real experiences couldn't. Months earlier, she had told her executive team, "If I don't understand what our frontline staff face every day, then I have no right making decisions for them." Some directors disagreed. Others admired her courage. She did it anyway. Back inside the restaurant, everything appeared peaceful until the front doors opened. 3 sharply dressed business executives walked inside. Expensive watches, tailored suits, confident smiles. They immediately demanded the largest table. One manager hurried over. "Welcome." Emma quickly approached with menus. Good afternoon. The oldest executive barely looked at her. Water. No greeting. No eye contact. Just an order. Emma remained polite. Certainly. As she walked away, one younger executive laughed quietly. These places never hire professionals anymore. The others chuckled. Ethan looked up from his meal. He didn't like the comment, but Emma ignored it. Several minutes later, she returned with drinks. One executive checked his phone without looking. Another continued talking loudly about profits. Emma patiently waited. When there was finally a pause, she asked, "Are you ready to order?" The oldest executive sighed dramatically. "If we have to." He ordered multiple dishes while making unnecessary changes. Extra sauce, no onions, different bread, special vegetables. Then changed his mind twice. Emma carefully wrote everything down. No problem. After she left, one executive laughed again. I wonder if she'll remember any of that. Ethan quietly shook his head. Some people believed expensive suits made them important. He had met enough wealthy clients to know otherwise. Most rich people he respected never acted that way. Nearly 20 minutes later, Emma returned carrying a large serving tray. Everything looked perfect. As she carefully placed the final plate onto the table, one executive suddenly pushed back his chair without looking. The chair struck Emma's arm. A glass tipped sideways. Ice water spilled across the table. Silence. Emma immediately grabbed napkins. "I'm so sorry." The executive stood abruptly. "Sorry." His voice echoed through the restaurant. "You ruined my meeting." Several customers looked over. Emma remained calm. "I'll replace everything immediately." But he wasn't finished. "You people never pay attention." The restaurant became uncomfortably quiet. The manager rushed over. "I'm terribly sorry, sir." The executive pointed directly at Emma. "Fire her." Emma looked shocked. It was an accident. It was incompetence. The manager hesitated. He looked nervous. The restaurant depended heavily on business customers. Losing an important client could hurt sales. He quietly whispered, "Emma, maybe step into the kitchen." Before she could answer, a chair scraped loudly across the floor. Ethan stood, calmly, slowly, without anger. Every eye inside the restaurant turned toward him. He walked over, not aggressively, simply confidently. He looked at the soaked table, then at Emma, then directly at the executive. Finally he spoke. His voice remained calm. "Excuse me." The restaurant fell completely silent. "I've been sitting here the entire time." The executive crossed his arms. "So," Ethan answered, "I saw exactly what happened." "You did?" "Yes." "You move your chair." The executive frowned. "What are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything." Ethan replied, "I'm stating what everyone here just witnessed." A few nearby customers slowly nodded. The executive looked around. His confident expression faded slightly. Ethan continued, "She wasn't careless. You hit her arm." The executive laughed sarcastically. "So now you're defending the waitress?" Ethan answered without raising his voice, "I'm defending the truth." The room stayed silent. Emma stared at Ethan in disbelief. No customer had ever spoken up for her before. The manager looked uncertain. Several diners exchanged glances. One elderly woman quietly whispered to her husband. Finally, someone said it. The executive stepped closer. "Do you know who I am?" Ethan smiled politely. "No." And honestly, he shrugged, "It shouldn't matter." The executive stared at Ethan with disbelief. For several long seconds, neither man spoke. The restaurant remained completely silent. Even the kitchen staff paused to watch. The executive forced a smile. "You have a lot of confidence for someone who doesn't belong in this conversation." Ethan remained calm. "I belong anywhere someone is being treated unfairly." Several customers quietly nodded. The words carried across the dining room. No shouting, no insults, just honesty. The executive folded his arms. "So you're calling me unfair?" Ethan answered without hesitation. "I'm saying accidents happen. And blaming someone for your own mistake doesn't solve anything." Emma looked down at the floor. She wasn't embarrassed. She was surprised. In all her years working with people, Very few strangers had ever defended an employee they had just met. The restaurant manager stepped forward. "Gentlemen, please. We don't want any trouble." Ethan looked at him kindly. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm asking for fairness." The manager sighed. Deep inside, he knew Ethan was right. He had seen the chair strike Emma's arm. But losing an important corporate customer frightened him. The executive pointed toward Emma again. "She embarrassed my clients. I expect compensation." Emma quietly replied, "I'll replace every meal immediately." The executive shook his head. "That's not enough." Another executive sitting beside him finally spoke. "Michael, maybe we should let it go." Michael ignored him. "No, businesses survive because they maintain standards." Ethan smiled slightly. "I agree." The executive looked pleased. Then Ethan continued, "And one of those standards should be respecting people." A quiet murmur spread across the restaurant. An elderly gentleman stood from a nearby table. "I saw everything, too." The young lady wasn't at fault. A young mother added, "So did I." The chair hit her. Within seconds, several customers spoke one after another. "We all saw it. She's innocent. It wasn't her mistake." Michael looked around. His confidence began slipping. He hadn't expected the entire restaurant to disagree with him. Emma felt something she hadn't expected. Support. Real support. Not because of her position. Not because of her success. Simply because people believed what was right. The manager finally straightened his shoulders. He took a deep breath. Then he faced Michael. "Sir, I've reviewed what happened. Our employee will not be blamed." The restaurant became silent again. Michael frowned. "Excuse me?" The manager continued. "The accident wasn't her fault. We'll happily replace the drinks. But no disciplinary action will be taken." Emma looked at her manager with surprise. He smiled nervously. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the correct one. Michael grabbed his briefcase. "This is unbelievable. You just lost an important customer." The manager answered politely, "I'm sorry you feel that way." Michael signaled for his colleagues. "Let's go." The three executives walked toward the exit. Just before leaving, Michael turned toward Ethan. "You'll regret sticking your nose into other people's business someday." Ethan simply smiled. "If helping someone is a mistake, I'll happily make it again." The restaurant door closed behind them. Silence lasted only a second. Then gentle applause filled the room. Customers clapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just sincerely. Emma felt tears gathering in her eyes. She quickly blinked them away. She walked toward Ethan. "Thank you." He shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. I only said what everyone else already knew." Emma smiled. "Not everyone says it." Ethan returned to his table. His lunch had become cold. He laughed softly. "I guess it happens." Emma disappeared into the kitchen. A few minutes later, she returned carrying a fresh meal. "It's on the house." Ethan immediately shook his head. "I can't accept free food." "You helped us." "I didn't do it for a reward." Emma smiled again. "Then think of it as replacing your cold lunch." After a moment, Ethan laughed. "Fair enough." As he ate, Emma continued serving customers. She worked exactly as before. No special attention. No complaints. No dramatic speeches. That impressed Ethan the most. During a quieter moment, Emma stopped by his table. "You mentioned you have a daughter." Ethan smiled proudly. "Lily, she's 8. What does she enjoy?" "Reading, drawing, and asking impossible questions." Emma laughed. "Sounds smart already." "The smartest person I know." Emma noticed a photograph inside Ethan's wallet as he paid. A smiling little girl holding a handmade birthday card. The edges were worn from years of being carried. "You must be very proud." "I am." My wife always wanted Lily to grow up believing kindness matters. Emma listened carefully. "And does she?" Ethan answered without thinking. "I hope she never loses that belief." Those words stayed with Emma. Before leaving, Ethan placed enough cash on the table for lunch and a generous tip. Emma quickly noticed. She hurried after him. "Sir, I think you left too much." Ethan smiled. "No, I left exactly what I meant to. You really don't have to. I know, but people remember kindness. And today, you earned every dollar. Emma watched him walk toward the parking lot. There was something different about him. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't powerful. Yet people naturally trusted him. Another customer quietly approached Emma. You know, that man reminded everyone here what dignity looks like. Emma nodded thoughtfully. I was thinking the same thing. Later that afternoon, Emma finished her shift. She didn't drive a flashy sports car. Instead, she entered the headquarters of Horizon Dining Group, one of the fastest-growing restaurant companies in the United States. Employees passing through the lobby greeted her warmly. Good afternoon, Ms. Brooks. Welcome back. Board meeting starts in 15 minutes. Emma smiled at each employee. Thank you. She entered the executive floor. Large windows overlooked the city skyline. The board of directors was already waiting. One director asked, how did today's branch visit go? Emma placed her notebook on the table. She didn't begin by discussing profits, or sales, or customer numbers. Instead, she asked one simple question. What kind of company do we want to become? The room fell silent. She shared everything that had happened. The rude customer, the frightened manager, the customers who spoke up, and one ordinary single father who expected nothing in return. Several directors listened carefully. One finally asked, do you know who he is? Emma smiled. I know enough. He's the kind of person every company wishes worked for them. Another director looked curious. What are you planning? Emma glanced toward the city outside her office window. I think it's time to meet Ethan Carter again. But Emma had no idea that Ethan's own life was about to take an unexpected turn. The construction company where he had worked faithfully for years was preparing to announce shocking layoffs. And Ethan's name was at the very top of the list. The next morning arrived with bright sunshine over Boston. Cars filled the streets. Construction crews unloaded equipment. Office workers hurried toward their buildings. For Ethan Carter, it felt like another ordinary day. He had no idea his life was about to change forever. Ethan arrived at the construction site a few minutes early. The atmosphere felt different. No one joked. No one laughed. Small groups stood together whispering. His friend Jake walked over. You heard? Ethan shook his head. Heard what? Jake sighed. The company lost a major contract. Ethan frowned. That's not good. It gets worse. Before Jake could continue, the site supervisor called everyone together. The workers formed a large circle. The supervisor looked exhausted. I won't waste your time. He paused. The company is reducing staff. Silence. Several workers lowered their heads. Others stared into the distance. The supervisor unfolded a sheet of paper. I'm truly sorry. One by one, names were read aloud. Each employee quietly collected an envelope before leaving. Finally, Ethan Carter. For a moment, Ethan didn't move. Then he slowly stepped forward. The supervisor handed him the envelope. I'm sorry. Ethan simply nodded. No hard feelings. He shook the supervisor's hand. I know this wasn't your decision. As Ethan walked away carrying a small toolbox, many co-workers watched him. Jake hurried after him. What will you do now? Ethan smiled despite everything. I'll figure something out. I always do. He drove straight to Lily's school. She climbed into the car with her usual cheerful smile. How was work today? Ethan hesitated for only a second. Then he smiled. I got an unexpected vacation. Lily looked at him carefully. Dad, you lost your job. Ethan laughed softly. You're getting too smart. You always smile like that when you're worried. He looked out the windshield. I'll find another job. Lily reached across the seat and squeezed his hand. I believe you. Those 3 words meant more than she could ever know. That afternoon, Ethan searched online for construction work. Most companies weren't hiring. Others wanted years of specialized experience. Some offered wages too low to support Lily. Days passed. Still nothing. Meanwhile, at Horizon Dining Group headquarters, Emma Brooks couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. She asked her assistant, Can you find the gentleman who visited Maple Corner Grill last week? The assistant looked surprised. The customer? Emma nodded. I'd like to thank him properly. Within hours, the assistant located Ethan through the restaurant's payment records and security footage. Everything was handled legally through company procedures. Emma reviewed the information. Age, 36. Occupation, construction worker. Widower, 1 daughter. Recently unemployed. She quietly closed the file, not because she pitied him, because she admired him even more. He had defended someone despite carrying heavy burdens of his own. The following Saturday, Emma visited a community charity fair sponsored by Horizon Dining Group. Families gathered under colorful tents. Children played games. Local musicians performed. Food trucks lined the park. Across the field, Lily sat beneath a tree drawing in her sketchbook. Emma noticed her artwork, a detailed picture of a father holding a little girl's hand. Behind them stood dozens of smiling strangers. Emma walked over. That's beautiful. Lily smiled. Thank you. Did you draw this from imagination? Lily shook her head. It's my dad. Emma looked closer. She immediately recognized Ethan. What makes him a hero? Lily answered without looking up from her drawing. He helps people, even when nobody notices. Emma felt goosebumps. Just then, Ethan returned carrying 2 lemonades. He froze. Emma? She smiled warmly. Hello again. Neither expected this meeting. Lily looked between them. You know each other? Emma laughed. We met at the restaurant. Ethan smiled. I'm glad to see you're doing well. So am I? They spent nearly an hour talking while Lily played nearby. Emma never mentioned her position. Instead, she asked about Ethan's life, his work, his dreams, his daughter. Eventually, Ethan admitted the truth. I've been searching for work. Emma nodded thoughtfully. What kind of work do you enjoy most? Building things, fixing problems, helping people. She smiled. Interesting. The following Monday, Ethan received a phone call. Mr. Carter? Yes. This is Horizon Dining Group. We'd like to invite you for an interview. Ethan frowned. I've never applied. We know, but we'd still appreciate your time. Curious, Ethan agreed. The headquarters amazed him. Modern architecture, friendly employees, open workspaces. No unnecessary luxury, just professionalism. He entered a conference room. The door opened. Emma walked inside. Ethan smiled. I had a feeling you might be involved. Emma laughed. You were right. She finally explained everything. I lead Horizon Dining Group. Ethan blinked. You? She nodded. I'm the CEO. For several seconds, Ethan simply stared. Then he laughed. I definitely didn't see that coming. Emma smiled. Most people don't. She continued. When you stood up for me, you believed I was simply doing my job. You expected nothing. That's exactly why you're here. Ethan looked confused. I'm not qualified to run restaurants. Emma shook her head. I'm not hiring you to cook. She placed a folder on the table. Our company is creating a new position. Director of Employee Experience. Ethan looked at the title. I don't understand. Emma explained. You naturally protect people. You solve conflicts calmly. You earn trust. I can teach business. I can't teach character. Ethan remained silent. She continued. I want someone who visits our restaurants, talks to employees, finds problems, improves working conditions, helps managers become better leaders. Ethan slowly looked up. You really think I can do that? Emma smiled. I already know you can. He thought about Lily, their future, the workers who often felt ignored, the waitress he had defended without knowing her story. Finally, he extended his hand. I'd be honored. Emma shook it. Welcome to Horizon. Months passed. Employee satisfaction across the company increased dramatically. Staff turnover dropped. Customer reviews improved. Restaurant managers began listening more carefully to their teams. Whenever Ethan visited a restaurant, employees knew one thing. He wasn't coming to criticize. He was coming to help. One afternoon, Emma walked into a newly renovated employee break room. Bright colors, comfortable chairs, bookshelves, free coffee, family photographs decorating one wall. A small plaque caught her eye. It read, "Respect costs nothing, but it can change everything." Emma smiled. "Who wrote this?" The manager pointed toward Ethan. "He says it's the most important lesson he's ever learned." That evening, Ethan picked Lily up from school. She climbed into the car. "Good day?" "The best." She smiled. "I knew it." As they drove home through the golden afternoon sunlight, Ethan reflected on everything that had happened. He had never defended Emma because he expected a reward. He had done it because it was the right thing to do. Emma watched from her office window as employees left work laughing together. She realized something important. The strongest companies aren't built on impressive buildings. They're built on people who choose kindness when no one requires it. Months later, Horizon Dining Group launched a national scholarship program for the children of hourly employees. Emma asked Ethan to announce it during the company's annual gathering. Standing before hundreds of employees, he smiled and said, "I once believed that success meant earning more money, but I've learned that real success is creating opportunities for others. When we protect one person, we often inspire hundreds more to do the same." The audience rose to their feet in applause. Emma joined them, proud not of the company's profits, but of the culture they had built together. As Ethan and Lily walked out into the bright afternoon, Lily slipped her hand into her father's. "Dad." "Yes." "I'm glad you always stand up for people." Ethan smiled. "So am I." Sometimes the smallest decision made in a single ordinary afternoon doesn't just change one life. It changes the future of countless others.